Hi, I'm Karen MacNeil, and welcome to WineSpeed.com's People to Know, insider interviews with the most fascinating and important people in the wine business. Today we're here with Vanya Cullen, who is the chief winemaker and managing director of Cullen Wines in the far Margaret River of Australia. So Vanya, you've been making wine for Cullen Wines now for 40 years, actually a little more than 40 years. And what changes have you seen in the wine business, especially in Margaret River, which 40 years ago must have been radically different?
Yeah, it was. And I mean, I've been fortunate enough to actually grow up in the region. I was born in the region, and so I've seen all of it. And this year is actually my 30th year as senior winemaker. I worked with my mother before that 40 years, so it's like really lovely. And you have seen it grow. I mean, we used to sit on our front veranda and watch maybe 2 cars on a weekend drive up and down, and then drive cattle and sheep up and down the road. And now it's become a really, because of the wine industry, it's become a really thriving region because of the wine tourism. So it's really been a great joy to see all that, change, and yet it sort of is a sustainable change because of those. The way that the tourism has evolved.
Yes. Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because I know you've won many awards, Winemaker of the Year from numerous magazines and numerous wine entities. But I know in particular you're very proud of your environmental activism. Talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, well, I always like to talk about, to say that for any wine region to have dignity, it has to have many stories. And so the Wardandi people are to acknowledge the traditional custodians with respect. And then that's coming from a place of, they always just talk about the land being soft and connected before white people came. And so the biodynamic story, we're now from going from a minimal chemical inputs to certified organic to certified biodynamic, and now carbon negative, which we're really happy about. Have that sense of back to what it was, that connection of earth to sky, and to be making wines which are, in the 30-year journey, it's been about creating live soils and balanced soils with balanced wine, and then with the grapes we don't have to add anything at all because they're balanced, and that is the essence of the whole journey. Yes. And it is really, as the awards, particularly this year, have given a platform to talk to the environment and wine quality, which is something that can be, you don't always get a positive response, but I think things are changing, and that's really pleases my heart greatly.
Yes.
As well as making the best quality wine.
Right. And you would say that specifically, your goal with that activism is not only your love of the land and respect for it, but you believe it really substantially influences wine in a tasteable way.
Absolutely, and I think, the great wines of the world have balance, and if you can have those balanced soils to the grapes, which are balanced in that you don't need to add anything at all, you have the purest product that you can ever make. So you have land to glass with no additions, and that's a great privilege, and it's about being a custodian to that. And it sounds easy, but it's a lot of work and a lot of love, and it's about simply having a great vineyard site and looking after it, and and then making those wines.
Right. Well, and the Margaret River, I'm imagining, has largely been an unspoiled area, and so to keep it in that pristine state is great luck and privilege.
And it's very beautiful too, because it's about nature and connecting to nature, and that isolation has I know the writer Geoffrey Blamey in Australia wrote about the tyranny of distance, and that isolation has given us, in a way, that extra, with the 3 oceans and the distance between us and the next landmass has given us, in a way, also an immunity against climate change, and the ancient soils, the 500 million year old granite rocks, and that fragility of the soil to be preserved in that way, and to have that going forwards, and to think that land is in a better way now than when we originally started farming. It's really, it's great, and yet, always that quest of trying to make a better quality wine within that dream, I guess. Yeah.
Now, you studied or visited and worked as a young woman, both in New Zealand and in the Napa Valley as well. And were there things, but it was a while ago, and both of those regions were not who they are currently. Still, were there inspirations that you drew from either or both of those regions?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was lucky enough to work with Richard Smart at the Decalfata Wine Research Station outside of Auckland. And so from that learned about the trellising systems, which we've used with our Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Sauvignon particularly for the tannins. And then in the Napa, there was just the beginning of, Robert Mondavi and Opus One and all of those wonderful, you can't help but learn a lot from that. And then also worked in Burgundy, and so that was another sort of experience about the land. And in a way, you can look at all your modelling to be sort of, just to have that experience in those places is, in a way, life-changing. You pick something up everywhere you go.
Yes.
And of course, the great wines of the world are always, it's a good excuse to have a great bottle, isn't it? To learn your benchmarks.
As if one needed, yes. But yes, of course it is, yeah. Now, I understand that you have a great appreciation for music. And what is the connection between wine and music? Are they connected in your mind?
Yeah, everything is vibration. And the stronger the comment about earth to sky, and that the vibration of the land and the energy of the land is enlivened through biodynamics, and that vibration is a song in a way, and music is the same. So they often say, if you play classical music to plants, they like it. And so I look at our vineyard as being a community of beings that are alive and awake and singing a song.
How extraordinary.
And that's the connection. I mean, we think we're disconnected from it, but we're very much a part of that. And also, one of the things I want to do is to put speakers up all around the vineyard and have classical music playing, because they have shown that it helps the vines grow. And there's statistical trials done with that, but it's piece by piece. So I have a great love of music, and I always look at it like that. It's just vibration.
Tell us about Cullen wines. What is the style of your? I mean, it's very heralded. It's won many, many awards, especially your Cabernets. But tell us about your style in making them.
It's the vineyard in the winery. So since we've been biodynamic, it's the vineyard has become very strong in the winery, and we are custodians to that. So essentially, we pick the grapes around the planetary aspects of the fruit and flower days. They come straight into the winery. We crush and press them. We don't make any additions, and then they ferment. In every different style, it's like that. So it's really about getting that fruit and the land to glass in the purest form. And I think that Margaret River, and the Williabrup sub-region where we are, which actually means a place of red ochre pertaining to the soils, it's about purity, beauty, quality, And so we changed our whole winemaking practice since being biodynamic, because we don't have to stop. So we bring it in and want the whole process to just keep going. So the first 5 days for whites are very intense in terms of, getting it to barrel or getting it to tank. And then with the reds, we just crush to tank or to barrel or amphora, and then leave them to ferment. But we're watching over them a lot. We do a lot of checks.
Amphora, because
custodians.
You have a respect for the old ways.
Yeah, and I think that's it's about the heart of the land rather than the mind of the winemaker. So you have an idea of what you think a wine should be, when in actual fact the wine is already there. So to observe that and to make your decisions based on those observations rather than what you've been taught. It's to stand back and look at what's happening without perception of what is or what you think it should be. It's completely different to how we made wines when I graduated from wine school. Yeah.
Now, you would have seen the Australian wine industry over a number of decades. What today do you think is the most exciting thing happening in Australia?
Oh, I'll have to say the land wines. You know, the acknowledgement of, you know, first of all, it was Australian wine, and then there's the regions, and then becomes about the single vineyard plots, and that understanding of what the land gives to the wine is the exciting part of the Australian wine industry, because it's such an ancient country, and you know there's very little pollution, and it's so pure, and such a big country, and it's so many great places where they've made wine for a long while, and that is coming about in a way which hasn't happened before. I think even though people always knew it, it's not sort of something that was talked about. And you know, there's different varietals that, of course, coming into play, but also what varieties grow best in which regions. And obviously, Cabernet Sauvignon and Margaret River has always been a winner.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, lastly, for our video interview here today, what character trait do you think you possess that has led to your own personal success?
Oh, a great love of nature and wine.
All right. Well, thank you, Vanya.
Thank you.
And our complete interview with Vanya Cullen will be on winespeed.com's People to Know page. You'll really love it.